Hey crafty people, I'm Sarah, also known as Craft Nerd because I'm a nerd who loves to craft. Over the years I've dabbled in most types of crafting, although for the past decade or so I've been doing primarily card making and mixed media art. I've recently embarked on a junk journaling journey that I hope you'll join me on. Today we're going to create some page spreads for my Boho Junk Journal with flips, flaps, and hidden pockets. Let's get crafting! So when I was printing out papers from Rach and Bella's kit for my Boho Junk Journal, my printer decided that instead of printing this back page on this page, it was going to spit it out and leave them both blank on one side. And I thought about reloading it in and printing again. And then I remembered a video I had seen that Francesca did for Vectoria Designs, where she created some interesting pages in her journal where she glued various printables together to create pockets and flip outs. And so I decided, instead of reprinting these so that they'd be double-sided, I'd go with the fact that my printer didn't want to print them double-sided and pull out another page. And this is an Abertique printable, and I forget the name of it. It has something, it may be Blue Peonies, but I will leave a link for it down below. And this one I had printed out single-sided and I hadn't yet gotten around to deciding on something to print on the other side. So I decided I'm going to take these 3 pages and create an interesting page spread to go into my journal that has tucks and pockets and flip outs. But before I start assembling them together, I decided I want to do a little bit of stenciling, because for some of the things I'm thinking about doing for this, I'm going to possibly have the blank sides showing or some of it showing. So I figured let's go ahead and pull in some stenciling. This is the side that's going to go tucked over. And as you can see, I've already done some folding because I started experimenting and then remembered I wanted to make this into a video. So yeah, I've already folded them and pretty much almost exactly in half. I left a little bit of spacing so that it would fold more easily. So that one's going to go there. And this one's going to go here. And have this flip out. So I'm going to start with stenciling on this one. So I pulled out the stencil and it's arches, and it's a Simon Says stamp stencil, and the number is 221577. And I'm going to go ahead and line it up at the top and use my magnets to hold it in place. And I decided I want to use Distress Ink in Shaded Lilac. And this is going to be interesting. We're going to see how well this paper stencils, because this is Hammermill Premium Color Copy Cover Stock, I believe is the name of the paper. And it's got a very smooth texture to it. It's kind of satiny feeling. So I don't know how well it's going to take with the stenciling, but we shall see. So there we go, and it actually stenciled beautifully, so that is good to know. I apparently didn't record the beginning of the stenciling. I'm using a Simon Says stamp stencil called Circular Lace, Kitsch Flamingo, Peacock Feathers, and Wilted Violet Distress Ink. And there we go. So that's all stenciled. I don't know why, but this makes me think I should thumb notch over here with a circle punch. So I think I'm gonna come back in and continue the stenciling a little bit more, so that's got a pattern going. This is definitely one of those projects where I'm kind of making it up as I go along. I had a vague idea of what I wanted to do and then just got started, and so here we are. That works. And I'm going to ink the edges of this piece, and I think I'm going to ink it in Wilted Violet because I want to go a little darker than the Shaded Lilac. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and glue this one down, and I'm just going to glue it along the top and the bottom so that this is a pocket, and we've got the thumb notch so that you know it's a pocket there. Using art glitter glue, and I'm just going to run it all along the edges except this side. And just make sure when you do this that you're seating it so that you can still fold your flaps. So there we go, that will fold over. And I probably should have used Barely Art because we're not quite lined up. And it's stuck and doesn't want to move. So we're gonna just cover up the fact that there is a little white showing here because I didn't quite line it up with a little bit of ink. All right. So now we've got a pocket here, if we have everything glued down correctly. And I think I am going to fold this up, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm just kind of eyeballing it, and I'm just taking it so that it comes up all the way up the corner, and pull this corner to this side. Fold that down until we get a glimpse of this lovely printable and of the stenciling, and it helps jazz up this page a bit. So I'm going to glue this guy down. And I noticed I got a little bit of cracking right here, so I am going to take a little Distress ink and just ink along the edge to hide that. Okay, so let's move on to this flap. And I do know we've got white showing here because when I folded this, I didn't have it lined up right, but I am happy with that because I like that I've got the whole peony. But what is going to cause a problem, because it's on the spine end, is that I've got an overhang here. So I am just going to trim that off with my paper trimmer. So I decided before I glue this together, I wanted to add some more pockets and flaps. So I took an envelope and I trimmed it down. And what I'm gonna do is attach this one here. And this one's going to attach to the bottom half of the envelope, so that we'll have it flip out. And then this can also flip out, and that'll be attached. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to seal the top here where I cut it open and trim a little more of this off so it's a little more noticeable and doesn't go all the way to the edge, so that if you wanted to tuck something in there, there'd be space for it. So we're going to do that, and I'm going to collage on these pieces to cover them up. And I am going to go let a dog out. So I'm going to start by trimming off a little piece of the bit I cut off the full envelope so that it's not quite as long, and now I'm going to glue it shut so that when it's attached it's got a side tuck. And now I'm going to use some scrap bits I have from, I believe this is a Rach and Bella kit called Get Your Chic On, and I'm just going to use a bunch of scrap bits and collage them on, and I'm using Sponge Sugar Distress ink for inking edges. And I didn't actually record all of the collaging I did for this envelope flippy flappy piece. Yeah, I've gone ahead and decorated our envelopes, mostly using bits from the kit and a few other leftover bits. I think these are from the Welsh Ephemera pack by Rach and Bella. And then I'm not entirely sure what printable this is from, but I inked it with shaded lilac and then did stenciling over it. Let's see if you can see that, and then decorated that. I think we are ready to attach this to this piece and then attach this piece over here. Before I attach it, I'm going to take the shaded lilac and ink along here in case we have any sticking out. I'm going to attach it here. I'm just going to add some glue onto the flap of the envelope, and my glue is oozing. And that flap's open. And then I'm going to attach this page to this page, and I think I'm going to leave it open at the top, so I'm just going to run glue along here, here, and along and up the side, so that when I close it, I'll still have a pocket at the top. And just be careful you are gluing on the right side of your creases so that it will actually fold over when you're done. So to make it clearer which way this page goes, I've cut out one of the flags from the kit, and I'm going to turn it into a tab at the top of the page. And to make life easier, before I stick it down, I'm going to round the corners. And I'm going to ink all of the edges. I'm using peacock feathers. And I'm going to take my art glitter glue and just glue it on so that it will sit like this as a page tab. So there we go. It will get sewn into the signature like this. And we've got pages and pockets and flips and flaps. And that page is done. Okay, so for my next interactive pockety page spread, I have printed out, this is a freebie from Rach and Bella. I'll link everything below. And it kind of matches up the background pattern with this one from the kit. And so we are just going to use this to create pockets on the pages, and we're gonna have the pockets with doors that open. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna grab my scoreboard. What we're gonna do, and this was a suggestion Rachel made when she put out the freebie, is that before cutting open the doors, if you score along the edge that you're gonna fold, it makes it a little bit easier. So we're just gonna go ahead and score the edges of the door, and I'm pretty much just using the closest score line that I can for the edge of the door. And to cut open the doors, I am going to use a craft knife and a ruler, just so that I can try and keep it straight, because otherwise, oof, it'd end up going all kinds of off kilter. Like I just did now. All right, I'm gonna have to figure out a fix for that, cause yeah. Now I'm just using my score lines as a guide to how far across to cut. And now I'm gonna just go down the middle. Didn't quite get all the way across, so I'm just gonna take scissors to cut that last little bit. Now you could, of course, cut these out so that they opened as a single door, instead of cutting down the middle. If you cut down one side so it just opened as a single door, that would work too. So I'm just gonna crease them along the score line. And I think the solution for this is gonna be, I'm gonna put a piece of book paper back here, glue this down, and then trim the little excess bit. Just take that off, and then ink edges so that it's not noticeable. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm also thinking that I am gonna cut out these sections on this stained glass window, and I'm gonna back this sheet with a piece of vellum, which makes it easier to get things in and out of the pocket, and then just color with alcohol markers where the windows are. So I'm gonna try doing a better job cutting these out than I did the doors. There we go. So in case you're wondering, this is the Fist Scar fingertip knife. I really love it because I like the control I have with it, and I find it comfortable. It does take a little getting used to, but I much prefer this to a regular size like X-Acto blade. All right, so I grabbed a piece of tea-dyed book page and I trimmed off all the white around the edges, and I think what I am gonna do is pretty much just attach it and then trim around. I think is probably the easiest way to do this. And I'm gonna use my Barely Art because I was crafting on the couch and my art glitter glue is still over there. And I am going to come in and just get a good crease on that. Put some glue down. Great, and then I'm just gonna trim and try and get it as straight as possible. Actually, it would help if that corner was glued down better. I am just going to and there we go. Now that door is backed. And we're just going to repeat the process for all the doors. All right, there we have our doors backed. And now I'm gonna grab a piece of vellum. I'm just gonna trace my windows. And I'm gonna grab a bunch of random Copic markers. And I'm just gonna take away most of the pencil lines I drew because they won't really erase after I put the Copic on very well. And I just need them as kind of a guide. If you're going to do this, you are going to want to use an alcohol-based marker or a Sharpie because pretty much anything else is not going to really adhere very well to the vellum because it's such a slick surface. Now I'm just going to double check that everything is lined up properly, and I need to do with a white scratch piece of paper. Okay, so I know where I need to go in and just fill in a little bit. I'm gonna try and smooth this out a little. And same with the pink. I think it just needs a little smoothing out. So that's how it's gonna look on the page. Ooh, I like that. All right, so we're gonna start by attaching the vellum to the back of this. And I wanna make sure I've got this part lined up because I can trim everything off around the other side. But this is the important piece to get lined up right. So we're gonna start with it. Now be sure you don't put any glue on your doors or you'll just have glued them shut. Grab a paper towel to get any glue seepage. There we go. That part's down. So now I just need to glue the vellum down everywhere else. And really make sure you're glued down good along the top edge because that's going to be your pocket where things go in and out. Before I go any further, I'm going to do what I had meant to do before I glued that down and ink around our door edges. For this door, I think I'm going to try aged mahogany. It's really just to cover up the white that's showing because we cut it out. I'm gonna try Savage Patina for this one because my peacock feather's on the other side of the room and I don't feel like getting up and getting it. I'm going to grab my paper trimmer and trim off the excess vellum, and then we are going to attach our two pages together. Oh, I really like the stained glass window. See, and then this way, anything you put in the pocket, you can see. Okay, I'm just going to double check and make sure we're adhered good everywhere. And oh look, I got some ink on that. Give me a second, I will clean that off. There we go. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and attach it down here. But before I do, I think I'm gonna put little notches so it's clearer that these are pockets and ink along the edges. And this is a 1.5 inch circle punch. I'm just gonna kind of eyeball center it. Close. This one will be a little easier. It's got the design above there, so I'll just go and use that as my guide. There we go. I think I went in a little further on that one than this one, so we'll go down a little bit more. Yeah, those are closer to even. I've got pieces of circle flying everywhere. Okay, let's see. Gonna mix things up and grab a little wilted violet for inking along the top on this. Give a little bit of contrast. I'll save and do the rest of the inking after we've attached. Now, I'm gonna start by, I think I'm gonna pull out my scoreboard for this because with the vellum, it's a little tougher to fold. This is 11 inches across, so I'm gonna score at 5.5. Fold it in half. And I'm gonna do, yes, I'm gonna fold this in half. And what we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna glue it down, and that should work out. Yep, that works out good. And we'll trim up any excess that needs trimming. And so this is gonna be a little bit of a lumpy bumpy page, especially if the doors aren't closed properly. All right. So what we're gonna do is on this side, we're making it a pocket. So we are gonna glue on 3 sides, leaving the top open. And then we're gonna flip it over here, make sure our doors are shut, and do the same thing, gluing on the 3 sides. And we've got a little white showing, and I'm just gonna take scissors and trim that off. And there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and ink all around. So now you've got nice deep pockets that you can stick stuff in. And when you open the doors, you can see within the pocket. So I'm gonna have a bit of a think, the doors need some kind of closure. So I need to come up with that. Okay, so in order to do closures on the doors to keep them fully closed, I have decided to use, these are an Elizabeth Craft die for, and it's called, I think, hinges. I'll leave either a link if I can find one, or at the very least the name of the die down below, and some magnets for our closure. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attach one side of the hinge to the door and just glue it on, and the other side I'm gonna attach the magnet to so that you can lift it up and then open the door. And I cut it out of watercolor cardstock, and these will pop out, but they didn't when I die cut them, and since I don't necessarily need them missing, I'm just gonna leave them there. And I've decided to color them. I am gonna use Lumiart Twinkle H2Os in Meridian Blue and Bolivian Blue, and these are metallic watercolor paints. So just gonna this way add a little bling to the page, and I'm just gonna do a quick coat of paint on them. Okay, so they are all dry, and I did do one side, the side that wasn't going to get glued down, the back side of those. So that one's gonna go there, and this one's gonna go over here. And what I'm gonna do to attach them is I'm gonna grab my art glitter glue, which has disappeared. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue down the one side. And do it for both doors. then I am going to take my magnets. These are basic gray, the smaller size magnets. What I like about them is they already have adhesive on them, and they're marked plus and minus, so you know which ones go together. And so what I recommend doing is actually stick them together. I'm gonna open this flap up and attach the one side. To my hinge part. Which is just big enough for these magnets. And then I'm going to take off the backing paper. And close the door and press down. And so now we have a hinge so that you can open up the door. And then you can close and the little magnet will catch. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. I'm gonna take two magnets, a plus and a minus. Stick them together, pull off the one backing and attach it to my hinge. And actually I think it'll probably be easier if I open it all the way up, which you can't see, and do it this way instead of the way I was doing it, so that I can get it placed squarely on there. And once you press down, these guys are stuck pretty good, so just be careful. And then I'm gonna peel off that one and close it. Just press down, and now that door's closed. You can open it up and voila! So one thing I want to point out, I used watercolor paper. You're definitely going to want to use a paper that'll hold up to the fact that you're going to be opening this and closing it, so you don't want to go too light of a weight of paper. Now for the little spots here, I have got some half pearls that I bought on Amazon in a variety of lovely colors. And I think I'm gonna put some of those to cover those spots, just to be a little bit more extra. And I'm gonna use my, this one's a pick-me-up. I also have a quick stick somewhere, and it's got like a putty at one end, and so it's good for picking up your gems. Trying to decide, do I wanna go with the blue that kind of blends in? Or maybe this like purpley reddish colored one that might stand out a little more. I think I like that. We'll go with that one. It didn't work at all. All right, so I'm gonna pick that up. I'm gonna take my art glitter glue, put down a little glue, and at the other end there is this piece that pulls out, and it's got a little pointy end and flatter end, and you can just use it to help get your piece of bling off the sticky end. And I've got a dog barking to come in who is gonna wait 1 second while I do this other one. I'm coming. I think for this one, you know what? I think I like that one. We're gonna go with those. All right, so this page spread is done except for putting tags in the pockets. And our other page spread, I actually did do a little bit more decorating. So I added some trim along here. And so we've got the pocket here, little tab so you know it flips open, a pocket here, which I haven't put anything in yet. I did a little bit of collaging and I used some bits from the Butterflies and Beauties by Rach and Bella. And some digitals I got from Shabbydabbydoodah. I don't remember. This is one of the labels and I don't remember which set this was from. I'll put all that information down below. And in case you have not heard, Tina over at Shabbydabbydoodah is currently going through a very hard time and could use your love and support. So if you're able, go pick up some of her digis. If not, just go and watch some of her videos because that will help her out as well. And I'll link her channel down below and her Etsy shop. We've got our flippy flappy envelope pocket. It's over here, and I dressed them up using bits from the Rach and Bella kits. I also made tags to go inside these, and again, these are from Shabbydabbydoodah, and those are Rach and Bella, and this is a Elizabeth Craft designed die, as is the doily over here, and they are cut out of just magazine, and this one I think is actually from a brochure I got for planning my trip to Maine that I took last year. And so that goes in there, and you can see the little elephants through the window, and my dogs have decided that now is the perfect time for a puppy death match. Boys, quiet. And I did a tag in here. I used some antique book page and some of the digitals. Again, this is Shabbydabbydoodah, this is Shabbydabbydoodah, and these are Rach and Bella. And these are the hole reinforcers, and I cut those out of book page, and it's a die by Elizabeth Craft Designs. And so that goes like that. And there is a pocket up here. So there are our two interactive pages with doors and pockets and flips and flaps. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the things that let YouTube know you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting.